We next have a panel discussion, which is coming up on the ways to crack the marketing code. Please welcome Mr. B.S. Rao, Senior Vice President, Marketing at Control S. He is going to be chairing this session, which is actually a panel discussion. Joining Mr. B.S. Rao is Geetu Bhatnagar, Senior Director, Marketing, India, Oracle. And we also have Srihari Gopinath, Senior Director of Marketing, APJ Aruba, a Hewlett Packard company. A warm welcome to our moderator and speakers who are joining us for this session. Thank you so much for sparing the time. We were expecting Dipali Nair to join us, CMO IBM India and South Asia, but for some reason, urgent reason, she couldn't join us. We have now a discussion on the marketing code in this new world. And I'd hand it over to Mr. B.S. Rao, who's joined us.
Anisha, yeah, thank you very much. Facing some technology issues at my end, power outages. So anyway, I think Murphy has joined us today. All right, so nevertheless, we'll continue the discussion. I think at the end of the day, what we're looking at is the content. And thanks for the introduction, Anisha, appreciate that. And Sanjay, thanks for having us, all of us here. And a warm welcome to all our friends from the industry. Thanks for making time on a Saturday. We welcome all of you. We had fantastic sessions from the professors and very insightful and very relevant to what, role we play. So thanks Sanjay and Sanjeev for getting us, the professors to speak to us and bring in great insights. So having said that, yeah.
Srini, you try your camera to switch on. I think it can come out. I have changed the status from guest to co-host. Probably that can help you.
Yeah, so we have in Hyderabad, we facing major power outage at this time. So we're trying to conserve as much, the floods that have taken place. So nevertheless, we will continue with the discussion the way we are right now. So Geetu, a warm welcome to you, to the panel, and Sri, a warm welcome to the panel as well. So as we talk about the cracking the marketing code, we're living through very interesting times, ladies and gentlemen. COVID-19 has perhaps brought in a new way to live, the way we conduct ourselves in terms of workplaces, the way we, socialize. There's no socializing today. I think that's taken a back seat. Perhaps we actually online in terms of social. So the online world is today displacing the physical world in every possible way. We have classrooms going home. Learning from home has become a reality. We were talking about future of work, but I think future of work is actually accelerated through COVID-19. So we now work from home. In fact, Geetu was mentioning to me that 100% at Oracle today work from home worldwide. And that same, with us as well. I'm sure most of our friends who are the CMOs and marketing leaders here would be working from home. So there has been a tectonic shift in terms of the way we conducting our business, the way we interacting with our customers, the way we are delivering education. The classrooms have gone home. Today, if you ask me, 6 months back, we would actually go to a movie theater to watch a movie. But now the movies go home. You just click and watch on Netflix. Movies are being released not in the theaters. They're being released on one of the OTTs. So I think we've come into an on-demand world, and where cash is given way to digital payments, because we don't want to touch anything right now. We're worried about COVID-19. So we become more or less touchless and contactless. In fact, most of the vegetable and grocery vendors are delivering through contactless methods. Don't be surprised if drones are introduced to deliver. In fact, Sanjay and me, I think we're having a discussion as a precursor to the panel discussion today. And we've been told that one of the companies actually delivers whatever you ordered while you're on your highway as well. It tracks your car number or your tags, and the drone actually delivers on your car, at the car, so you can receive in your car. So I think, there is a transformation. There's a tectonic shift in the way you're, planning to serve your customers change the entire experience. But however, B2B is a different animal. We're talking about B2C and B2B as well. So let me invite Geetu to first share her thoughts in terms of what tectonic shifts, Geetu, are you observing in the consumer space, in the consumer behavior, specifically one from B2C perspective and two from B2B perspective. Geetu, over to you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Sanjay, and thank you, Srini. Good evening to everybody here. Thank you for being on this panel discussion, listening to us. So how I would like to articulate this, there is a clear shift in digital strategy, from digital first to digital only. And that is not a near-term shift or adjustment, as some may fathom. To me, it represents sustained changes that will fully take shape in the eventual of the pandemic. The pandemic is real. There is no post-COVID. This is the era now. So since we are all B2B organizations on this panel right now, I can definitely point out that the B2B buyer's behavior is at an inflection point. It's that buyers now expect a fundamentally different relationship with your company. And we as marketeers have to strike a balance between digital interactions and human connection. The lines between sales, marketing, inside sales, they have all blurred. So how I see the consumer now, the consumer is now informed, he's topical, he's matured, and he's very emotional. If you see the pandemic, if you see the Black Lives Matter, if you see the TRP era discussions that happened where banks had blacklisted certain organizations, the news channels, all this has led to a very, I would say, a socially responsible consumer. The death of George Floyd, then brands like Bajaj, Parley, Amul, solid brands who believed in TV advertising, boycotting the news channels, which spread toxicity, abuse, fake news. So if you see all those fragments that have happened over the last 8 months, I see traditional marketing as dead. That era is gone completely. Even if you're expecting physical events happening over the near future, I don't see it happening right now. And I think the virtual world is a real world. The virtual marketing is real. Our conversations here are real. And, Professor did mention about, physically meeting. I think this is the new physical, seeing each other on screen and discussing with each other a borderless geography, truly. This is the new real. And from a consumer behavior, they also understand this today. The B2C, B2B line has truly thinned. As I would discuss, I sit on the same screen. I move from being a consumer to a B2B marketeer to a B2B salesperson at the same time from the same screen. The lines are completely blurred on this. So that is the big tectonic shift, in my opinion, moving from digital first to digital and digital only. Back to you, Srini.
Yes. Yeah, thanks, Geetu. Thank you very much. So we agree that there is a tectonic shift, and the way we actually work with customers today, earlier it would be actually face-to-face, and we actually gone digital. So having said that, let me also invite Srihari to throw some light on how we go about in this new era where there's a tectonic shift. How do we go about the consumer? There has been, the professor talked about earlier about inside out and outside in. What should be the role of the CMO? What should be the approach of CMOs today and the marketing leaders in an outside in world? You always began with inside out earlier. Mr. Ford would say, hey, listen, as far as you want a car, any car that's black, we can deliver. The point at the end of the day is the world has changed. You no more say that I can deliver a scooter in about 12 years. Now you have to deliver, it's already there. You just click and the scooter gets delivered. So I think the world has moved from between 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, from inside out to outside in. Hari, I would like to request you to throw some light on what's this battle between inside out versus outside in? What is the perspective? What are your thoughts?
Sure. Srini, thank you. Sanjay and Sanjeev, thanks a lot for this opportunity and having me here. It's a pleasure to speak to all of you. I think a lot of people have given their Saturday afternoons and evenings to be here, so thanks for that. Today is obviously it's a very special day. It's an auspicious day. So wish all of you a very happy Navratri and Dashera. I hope the stars change and the world becomes a better place after these stars are realigned. Great. So coming to your question, Srini, I think while there are tectonic shifts and we're witnessing uh, perhaps a time in our lifetimes which we hopefully will not have to witness again. I think this is bringing to the fore how we as human beings, as individuals, make choices, right? So that actually determines priorities, and in every aspect of life, I think everyone has had to revisit it over these last few months. What's most important to you and your family and your health? I think that has really taken precedence over anything else in that was happening in your life at that over these last few months. From a marketing standpoint, or as a marketer, when I look at this, while there was this viewpoint on saying being outside in and inside out, I think more so now it's important to stay close to our consumers, to our customers and consumers if you're in the B2C context. I think the more we can understand the needs of our customers, and it's a point in time assessment, right, that you're going to do. And if you can make yourself relevant to your customers contextually, I think the greater will be the affinity for your brand. In the B2B context, it's not just the brand, it's the people, it is the human connections, which Geetu referred to as well. Having been in the B2B space for close to 15 years now, I can definitely say that the power of the brand is in the multitude of interactions which happen, with our sales reps, with our support reps, with our engineers, with our, with our execs, what have you. So, the way our customers reach out to us. And in the course of this pandemic, we have seen that we need each other, and that should be the spirit. And as marketers, I think we are in a position to actually craft a narrative which will talk about hope. And I do feel as marketers, it's our responsibility to position our brands and our customers together, and join them in their wins and trials and tribulations to achieve whatever they want to achieve. And as a marketer, I feel being close to the customer is most important, in understanding their priorities at a point in time. I think that's more the viewpoint that I would take, rather than making it one versus the other, inside out versus outside in. I'll probably stop. I've gone on for a while now.
Sure. Thanks, Srihari. And Geetu, what are your thoughts on this approach, or the battle between inside out versus outside in marketing? What are your thoughts in terms of the approach towards the same?
So, as a CMO, I would say there's a CMO who came from the world of Don Draper and wants to spend money on marketing, use the term brand in every other sentence, and want a bigger budget for marketing and advertising. I don't think those CMOs are there anymore. The skills as well as the scope are different in this century. I think the CMOs who are thriving, and what is the perspective they're bringing in or taking out, are potentially that I'm your link to the market. I understand strategy. I'm informing every piece of the supply chain. I understand where we are getting products and services, where we can save money, where we lose money, get a finger on the pulse. Regardless of industry, I've seen this, that the CMO today is squarely in the spotlight with heavy accountability in helping create pipeline for sales to happen. They are now at the forefront of helping generate new business opportunities, bringing in the innovation, and also driving revenue. The uncertainty, I would say, presented in the landscape today also means that the rules have been rewritten with the added challenge of reaching customers en masse. This is a period of experimentation for many of the CMOs. And I would say there is no single formula on what it takes to win in this race today. But what is clear to me is that those who can combine their creativity and the right data-driven intelligence, supported by modern technologies, are those who will far outpace their competitors. So the view is very clear. Use those data-driven technologies to see and understand and stalk, I would use the word, your consumer behavior. Give him the right information, the right product at the right time through the right platform. And that's where you merge the outside in and the inside out view. And at Oracle, we are a product-driven company clearly. And that's a strategy that changed for us, I would say. We underwent this transformation journey ourselves when we started moving to the cloud. So from a product-oriented company, we became a service-oriented company. And that meant fundamentally changing the way we operated. We began by streamlining processes. Arun, can you go on mute, please? Sorry. So, I was saying we went from a product-oriented company to a service-oriented one. And we began by streamlining the processes involved in our customer interactions, simplifying our channels and customer touchpoints to accelerate the buying experience, I would say. And to me, there are 4 core strategies, that you can take to define this era. And they are very simple. Streamline your process, number 1. Empower your marketeers with the right tools. Delight your customer with options, and leverage the cloud as a springboard to implement marketing automation solutions. When I say delight your customer with options, there are multiple technologies, AI, blockchain, and other virtual reality tools where you can literally, I would say, give the product a very clear semblance virtually before the product is bought. So that's something can be done today. Chatbot, great technology to leverage. And I'll give an example of this, which is in action currently in Hermes, a fast-growing package delivery company from Germany. So Hermes used Oracle's digital assistant to create a bot. They named it Holly, which has been designed to answer customer service questions, reduce chat volumes, and help redefine their human support interactions. This in turn has helped them provide better customer experience and make them more efficient. A very simple tool, but brought the connection between the consumer and the human touch with the consumer alive. So that's how I would think about this.
Thanks, Geetu. Thank you very much. So we're saying that customers at the focal point for marketeers for sure. And I just cite an example of a technology company which leveraged analytics to understand how they can help the customer. This is basically an organization which basically understood the pain point of the customer in terms of the gas usage, the fuel usage of the vehicle. So the pain point that they uncovered through a survey was that they were not able to track the vehicle gas mileage effectively. So they leveraged AI and analytics and obtained insights. And then through an app, they could actually locate the data of the vehicle and also track the the vehicle through Google Maps, and then therefore send the information to the customer in terms of how the fuel efficiency of that particular vehicle is. So I think when we talk about, of course, the B2C example, but nevertheless in the B2B space too, I think customer stands at the core of every business. While we're talking about outside-in approach, I think it's about understanding the pain points of the customer and having the customer as the focal point. Number 2 is in terms of fulfilling the unmet needs, perhaps whether it's a product or a service, and creating those innovative solutions. When you said, companies are, for example, IBM was actually a product company. Oracle was a product company. Now it's more like a cloud company. And so every organization is today redefining its business model to serve the customer needs, which means innovation is becoming a key part of that outside-in approach. So having said that, I think the next important aspect is the post-COVID-19. The world is going to be very different. We're already seeing that we fear a fellow human being. There was no fear of a fellow human being earlier. The fear was probably about several other things. Fear of probably losing a job, the fear of probably a sort of a disease, but not as bad as COVID-19. But today you don't trust a person who sneezes next to you. There's a seismic shift in the way we're conducting ourselves in terms of business. Now, that's in the personal life. In the business life, there is a change. We are seeing new age technologies come in. Despite COVID-19, the technologies are playing a very important role, especially in the marketing strategies. AI, ML, and RPA and analytics would eventually play a very critical role during COVID-19 and post-COVID-19. And here's where I would want Geetu to throw some light in terms of where do you think the new age marketing strategies will be 3 or 4 years from now? And would the new technologies play a very important role to demystify and unlock the marketing code? So over to you, Geetu, and followed by you, I would invite Srihari to have his thoughts on the new age marketing strategies based on new technology tools. Over to you.
Thank you, Srini. So Srini, definitely, as economies around the world find new ways to overcome challenges brought about by recent events, it is common to see marketers facing budget cuts, trying to unearth every ounce of value possible with resources available. All of us are seeing that. But the silver lining to this, in my opinion, is that this has also given business a respite from the routine, a chance to re-examine and innovate the boundaries of their marketing strategies to forge forward with a newfound resilience. We've done that in Oracle, and I see many of my colleagues in the industry are doing the same. So what I see is as a game changer, post-COVID world is a very focused account-based marketing leverage coming in. Since I'm a B2b marketer currently, and we are discussing more here, I would say the world has changed for B2B buyers. The B2B buying experience has shifted to become more focused on digital, with more emotional, more real-time, and more social interactions, just like in the B2C universe. So in order to overcome these new challenges and succeed, B2B marketers must collect real-time data signals on their customers, understand them, and most importantly, use them to connect to what is known as, I call it the B2B consumer. So to effectively reach the newly empowered digital-first customers, it seems like a mammoth task to all of us. But let's understand, the B2B customers crave marketing that gets them. Personalized B2B marketing satisfies the need. So you need to make your messages, marketing, go-to-market, I would say, strategies, to be able to listen to the digital hints that prospects drop for you. So when you have the tools and technology to listen to your customers' activities and respond in the moment, you are able to adopt your programs and respond to their digital signals to drive measurable impact. What will that do? That will improve the conversion rates by identifying and nurturing, those particular individuals or organizations. It will build better alignment between sales and marketing because you'll connect, the data flow between departments, giving sales the intelligence and tools to know precisely when and how to reach out to prospects and customers. And I think this data-driven model will also begin to take action and make strides in solidifying the customer experience for this new world. So those data silos between marketing, sales, service, that can be an issue. So I think we need to ensure that the touch points of the business are all integrated so that this is something which becomes a core area. So while customers today only see a single brand experience, most organizations still don't connect this data together, leaving gaps across the full experience. So customers expect every interaction with a brand to be consistent, and they expect those brands to know them better than they know themselves. And here I will talk about Oracle and Oracle CX marketing, because that can work with you and your teams to determine how ready your organization is to adapt to the current environment. And if I was to put this in layman words, you have your internal infrastructure, you have your products and services, you have your tools and technologies, which is for your supply chain, which could be your ERP and supply chain management. You have your employees responding, and the outer-facing customer experience. All this needs to be fully integrated for you to be able to respond to a customer need, in the moment. So I see the post-COVID world really being driven by data, bringing that data in from the world to your organization, and all your aspects of internal organizations fully integrated to be able to respond to the customer need in time. That's how I see it.
Beautiful. Thanks, Geetu. Thank you very much. Hari, would look forward to your thoughts on this from technology, how technology and the new age strategies are going to be shaping up eventually post COVID-19, and also how, as B2B marketeers, we should marry these technologies to account-based marketing so that we get ahead and engage the customers meaningfully and then have very productive and monetizable outcomes. Over to you, Hari.
Thanks, Srini. In continuing the thoughts that Geetu shared, we are at a point in time where I think we do have the instrumentation and the tools that we can apply, especially in the digital space, where our ability to collect those digital signals from the top of, based on the digital activity from our, from our customers, we can harness that, package that, harmonize that, and make it available meaningfully to our stakeholders and our partners in sales. Now the key is the instrumentation bit, right? I mean, if in the B2B space, the sales cycle is obviously it's non-linear. It's more like a pinball machine. If any of you remember from your younger days when you went to an arcade to play those pinball games, right? So customers bounce off from different places. They are picking up small pieces of information. They are forming opinions. They are liaising on community sites. So that gives them, they're able to talk to other users of your own products or technology. So and they form opinions, and all of this leads to a point where there is a digital trail, right? So at HPE and Aruba, we have we've been on this journey to get to a structured account-based marketing and segment-based marketing frameworks. And the key is, how do you craft the content which will be relevant to the customers at these different points in time, because it's a non-linear journey. So our experience has been that when you say when you provide outcome-based narratives, or if there is a story, if there is a way to if there's a way to qualify and quantify the outcome that your technology, that our product or technology is able to deliver, and if that can be also backed by either early adopters, or if there are already customers using it in different parts of the world, I think that that really is very powerful in the B2B in the B2B space. Having said that, the the most important part is how you tell your story, and I think the content and the relevance of that content for a particular phase in that in that sales journey becomes really important. The partnership with sales, I think that is the key here. I mean, as we are now, as we have taken a hard right or a hard left to the digital world, I mean, there's no going back. I mean, there's nothing called pre-COVID days. I think all of us will pretty much agree on that, right? So as we move forward, the partnership with sales will become super important, and sales reps, sales leaders who have successfully embraced digital and can glean value from the information that is packaged from these digital signals and that can be made available, how they can apply these nuggets of information to probe into specific accounts, pick up a relevant conversation with with a customer. I think that will be a differentiator, and more so, and that is where the partnership between sales and marketing is going to become even tighter, and organizations who have been successful so far have usually experienced a close collaboration between sales and marketing, and I can speak from experience here at HPE and Aruba. But that doesn't mean that we've perfected the art of sales and marketing in this new world. I think there's a lot for us to learn and learn together, and also work along with our customers. I mean, there's also a point where you got to determine, when are you being intrusive and when you're not. So you gotta be watchful. You gotta be respectful of the spaces that that our customers traverse in the digital space. I mean, a lot of times, they're in a lean-in mode, and sometimes they are in their personal space, and it's very hard to make that out. I mean, unlike a business conference, they're not walking in there with a mindset of saying, today I'm going to learn something new. They're probably trawling the net. They're probably reading up an article. So it's gonna be interesting, and I think as marketers, I'm looking forward to learning more. I mean, from our customers, from their behavior, how the human mind will change and adapt to these new times.
Thank you, Hari. Thank you. And just to let our friends know that there have been several statistics and surveys that have been conducted in terms of how AI and ABM is impacting the business. So I'll just leave behind those thoughts on this particular area that we actually discussing. So it's said that 59% of the B2B marketeers expect AI to help identify prospective customers, which means AI is certainly getting integrated into marketing strategies. And 80% of the B2B marketing leaders predict that AI will revolutionize the industry. And in fact, 53% of the CMOs expect that AI will improve marketing effectiveness and driving revenues. Now, that being what it is, in terms of ABM, there are two very important observations. 60% of companies that use ABM have witnessed an increase of about 10% revenues, while 25% have experienced a revenue of almost exceeding 30%. And another survey indicates that 91% of the companies using ABM, account-based marketing, were able to increase their average deal size by at least 50%. Yeah. So I think ABM certainly is playing a very important role in the B2B space, and it requires how we go about the buying center strategy, how we go about influencing the influencers themselves, the decision makers, and how we do not sell but win over the hearts and minds of the buying center. So I think it perhaps calls for consultative based selling and also deep mining and staying with the customer longer. Perhaps the sales cycles in whale account marketing or the account based or large accounts, the sales cycle is certainly larger, but it means that you got to build deep-rooted relationships for you to actually displace competition. So having discussed about account-based marketing, the next question to all of us here is, there's always this sales and marketing as two different departments. Perhaps it is perceived, now we can talk about it. It is perceived that the road to marketing and sales alignment is perceived to be bumpy. So whether or not it's true, we do not know, but then there is a perception out there. So Geetu, just wanted to invite your thoughts on this. How is the alignment working in the world? I mean, unless the marketing and sales align, I don't think the organization will benefit from it. So what are your thoughts?
So clearly, since you mentioned ABM, if you see, and traditionally all of us in B2B space, account-based marketing or personalized marketing, as I would call it, was restricted to the top of the pyramid. Literally your top 10% customers fell in that category. And those 10% may be giving you 50% of the revenue. Truly, it could be that. But that's where it was limited to. But with the disruption of the world outside, look at it, classic case I'll give you from Oracle itself. Zoom. Zoom was not a top-end customer. But Zoom came up as an ISV, and today if you see them as our cloud customer, the revenue is probably equivalent to any of the top customers that would fall in an ABM model. So this is how I see the world changing. Disruption is coming from anywhere. It could come from a partner, from a customer, from any geography, from any small town. And we've seen the kind of unicorns, that have come out of India. and more. So how I would say that is one big disruption and change shift that is happening. So you really have to bring it closer to home, use all your social listening tools and intelligence from the market to ensure that you get into that space earlier than later. That is definitely one big point I wanted to, close on the ABM perspective. Secondly, on your question, clearly, how I see it, and I can give you an example from Oracle again, the line has truly, truly thinned. And I made that reference point earlier between sales and others. Today, my seller is interacting with my customer exactly the way I do. The only thing is my information reaches the customer before my seller speaks to him. But the good news is that 60%, as many of you said on the chat as well, 60% to 70% of the information is available to the customer prior to meeting the seller. So seller is bringing only one component, which is the trust element. And if you can bring that trust element through your brand, and that brand, you can use multiple marketing techniques, including, emotional well-being, health, which is top priority today. Employee well-being and health has become a brand input clearly, and most CMOs are struggling to make that as a top priority currently. Second is social responsibility. We saw that many brands were not ready, when they were backlashed on social priorities. That responsibility factor has also become a CMO's job. It was not earlier. It was somewhere divided with the HR department. It was HR or the CSR team who were meant to build that element. But today it is again a marketeer's responsibility. You saw the Tanish cat go down. Personally, I loved that. I thought, but these views are always polarized. You had mentioned that, Srini, at the start of the call. So there's no right or wrong because information is instantaneous. It depends on the mood of the person sitting on the screen and the time, how he will perceive a certain situation. Sushant Singh Rajput, classic case study. Unfortunate, the gentleman's not here, but there were so many anecdotes that came around it. So just to close in on the point, that trust with the customer, if you're able to build it with your brand on screen, with your marketing message, tell him that you got the right product at the right price, and the company is backing you, sir, till the end, he will go for it. But if you're not able to do that, then it's the salesperson who has to ensure that and bring it. So it's a very thin line. And I feel more and more responsibility on my shoulder on a daily basis, because I see sellers coming back to me and ensuring that I deliver that trust back to my customer as well. So clearly, it's a thin line. It's a great time to be a marketer. And I think all of us need to work on and take that responsibility and build that partnership with our core internal teams.
Sure, thanks, Geetu. Thanks for that. So, in fact, one of the observations in the alignment between sales and marketing is that organizations that typically have sales and marketing alignment are said to be having 38% higher sales win rates. That's number one. So I think it's very pertinent and relevant and important for us to have the alignment, which I'm sure most of our friends and marketing leaders today at the award ceremony would have perhaps brought together. Second is that companies with aligned marketing and sales are said to be 67% more efficient. And they also lead to about 200% more revenue from the previous efforts of marketing. So if they were generating, let's say through marketing about, let's say $10 million, perhaps they could therefore witness a 200% from there on if sales and marketing both are aligned. However, Geetu and Hari, there is one stat which is actually painful, and I would like all of us to spend another 2 minutes on that. It says that B2B statistics show 60 to 70% of all created marketing content, while we're talking about content marketing, 60 to 70% of all creative marketing content is said to be unused by sales. And here's where I want each of you to spend about a minute and tell us, is this really true or is it a perception?
Well, if it is backed by data, I don't know whether to challenge it, but yeah, it depends, I guess. I mean, if you were to generalize it, perhaps there. But the point is, the need for sales and marketing alignment, you're going back to your first point about the road being bumpy, but I think it's actually good to have a healthy, alignment, in the sense that not everything that marketing does needs to be accepted by sales as the best way to do it. And if there is a bit of healthy tension in the system, that's actually good. Because at the end of the day, marketing is at a vantage point where, the work that we do will probably bear fruit 2 quarters or 3 quarters down the line, at least in the B2B space. That's, those are the typical sales cycles that you're trying to support. Whereas, from a sales standpoint, I mean, those, sales leaders will understand this better, but perhaps the field teams are more keen to figure out what can I get to meet my, which is the shortest route to, for me to, to clear my quota or my budget for, for the immediate quarter. Coming to your point on the alignment, I think the more marketing and sales teams work together, and then they start understanding the rhythm of the marketing and the workflows that they have to adapt to, and where to leverage the resources that marketing generates and creates, whether it is collateral or other forms, like we have very well-equipped EBCs, or executive business centers, where experientially customers can get a sense for solutions. All of those things are enabled by marketing, but all of them come in at the right time. And sales leaders who understand the value and the merit of each of these tools at the right time will actually leverage them. And I don't believe that it should be a very smooth road either. I mean, there should be a healthy amount of tension in the system, and that's actually good. In my view, it keeps us on our toes. It keeps our colleagues as well on their toes. To the point of helping each of us do better, and that's the way it should be.
Sure. So thank you very much for that. And Geetu, do you have something to say?
Yes. Thanks, Srini. So I have a very clear perspective. When you talk about content, if you see, and I talk it about as a traditional marketing era, traditionally you would have the analyst reports, you would have the PR information, you would have the customer references, so to say, you would have the product collaterals, you would have certain other research notes. So it was very segmented, siloed, and all this content was pushed to sales to be pushed to the customers. But I think that is where the shift has happened with the data-driven technologies now clearly, and the consumer or the customer being divided into a very clear persona, and he being identified with his, I would say, the digital body language, understanding what he consumes, how he consumes, where he consumes it, understanding that part, and then being able to personalize and give him that nugget of information. If marketing is able to do that, trust me, sales loves it, because that's how they want it. So we have a very clear, I would say, a nurtured way, programmatic way of pushing content. And all content is not for all customers. So clearly redefining which content for which customer at what time is what this new game is. And there are multiple tools available out there. So content syndication with partners is one way to do it. Merging the lines between analyst reports and media reports, and the earlier world was making newsletters and pushing that information. Trust me, the consumer who's sitting on a screen today is craving. He's searching for that information as well, because he has to be emotionally and fully capable of taking a decision. He has to go with 60% of his content ready, with the entire logic of why he wants to buy that product, with the complete competitive insights and everything. So I think I like the game, and I think I would take that beating as a marketer if my sales comes back and says no to a content. But the good game is that you always have the right content, and sales laps it up to use it. So it's an ongoing battle and an ongoing journey. But people have been using the terminology marriage, so I like that terminology between sales and marketing. and you got to make it work.
Okay. Yeah, it's like a marriage. It's like husband and wife. If you're not aligned, I don't think that family is going to go anywhere. So
Yeah.
there can't be debate between husband and wife. So is between sales and marketing. But we'll spend about another minute. I think we have about a minute, Sanjay and Sanjeev. So grant us maybe another additional minute. Here's a very important perspective that we could draw from the surveys. It says, how does the CEO and the board perceive the CMO and the marketing leader? And the survey says that 49% of the CEO and the board believes that CMO is able to demonstrate the impact, financial impact, about 49%, and he is able to persuade or able to understand the strategic business goals by about 43%. So there seems to be a gap of about 60% to about 50%. Is that a CMO, CEO, or the board alignment of an issue, or what do you think? Hari, wanted to pick your quick thoughts on it, just quickly. We got about 2 minutes to go, so yeah.
Sorry, what was the number that you said exactly?
The CEO believes that the CMO understands the financial impact on the organization of marketing about, let's say, 49%, and his understanding of strategic goals, the CMO's understanding of the strategic goals, as per the CEO lens, is 43%. And the ability of the CMO to collaborate with other functional teams and other departments, be it sales or anybody, is about 52%. That means there's a wide gap between 0% to 100%. There's a gap of about 40% to 60% in some cases. Which is why when the professor said, that the average life of CMO is going down from 7 years to about 4 years, there is a cause for concern. So your thoughts, please.
But yeah, I mean, this is definitely a case for a point of view, right? I mean, both those numbers are very close to saying, whether you see the glass as half full or half empty. The fact that we are, close to the 50% mark, actually, it leaves all of us to actually reflect. My own view is for a CMO or a head of marketing to align with the strategic direction and especially get the CEO's perception to also be that the CMO understands the strategic direction. It does involve tenure in roles and in companies specifically. I can speak for the B2B world, and from my experience, having been with HP and HPE for now close to about 12 years, the more time I spend, with the company, the closer I am to understanding why certain decisions are made at certain points in time. Perhaps it might be a little bit harder for some others who perhaps, it's not that they won't get it, but they might take a little bit longer to kind of see how the dots are connected. So tenure does matter, and we are in this era where there are multiple opportunities, right? And we see that talent tends to be in a rush, right? So everybody is in this rush to get to that 40-year mark and finish their home loan, have their kids, do everything and want to retire by 50. My question is, I mean, what are you going to do for the remaining 50 years? I mean, medical science has evolved to a point where you're not going to die by 70. Definitely not. I mean, you might be holed up in some hospital or whatever, but medical science has evolved to a point where life can be extended. So I think there is merit in slowing down. I'm sure all of there are several of us who read of many of these articles on the science behind slowing down and actually assessing. You need time. You need to spend time to think, right? So to do that, you need some empty space. You need some negative space to actually assess what is it that you are doing, what is in your control, what is the direction that you're likely to head to by making certain points. And as marketers, we are placing those dollars, right? We are responsible for placing those dollars on behalf of the company to guide the direction in which we are headed, along with the CEO, along with the sales leaders, along with our functional leaders, supply chain, and everyone else, the technologists and all of them. So there is great responsibility on marketing, but the fact that you mentioned that we are close to 50% gives me hope. And I do believe that there is scope for improvement, definitely, and we'll hopefully see better numbers the next time we speak.
Sure, Hari. Thanks. Geetu, your thoughts on
Yes.
this, please? Yeah.
I'll just give a closing comment here, clearly. I think totally differently. I think it's the best time to be a CMO today. You know, the classic CMO was earlier, who was your connect with the agency, I would call it, who was taking care of the media buys and the spends. So he was the guy who was spending money in the company, and, you know, it was different. Post-COVID, if you see, CMO is the person who suddenly got responsible for the entire marketing. He's responsible with the CIO to ensure that the data is integrated, you know, from customer experience back to employee reactions, back to the brand and sensibilities and product and entire messaging. So I think the right CMO is your CEO's best buddy today, because he's, as I mentioned earlier, he's got the pulse on the finger, on the supply chain, on the market, on the employees, on the customer experience. And he's bringing it all in. So, you know, like there was a decade of the CIOs, there was a decade of chief digital officers, there was a decade of CFOs, when the CAPEX, OPEX decisions on clouds were being made. I think this is truly an era of the CMOs. And I think all of us have to make sure that we don the CEO's hat, think like him, act like him, and move towards taking that role over the next 5 years, as you were talking about, Srini.
Yeah, and act like her as well, because it's not a nice word. So, all right. Thank you, Geetu and Hari. Beautiful, fantastic thoughts out there. But in summary, I would like to say, gentlemen, ladies out here, the CMO leaders from across the globe, I think we got about our friends from about 15 countries joining us in the different time zone right now. So to sum up the panel, we're talking about 2 or 3 important things. One, you got to think from a customer perspective. You got to think from the board perspective. The markets are evolving. We're going to be living in a post-COVID-19 world. So alignment between departments to be more productive, to contribute, and evolve from being a cost center to be a profit center, I think is the next evolution. Going from touch-based marketing to touchless marketing, I think is the next era of marketing. And the fact that we're talking about account-based marketing in B2B, it's very important to have a stakeholder engagement. And to make sure that when we talk about demystifying the marketing code, it's all about addressing your customers, be it your internal customers, be it your internal stakeholders, or the customer who actually pays the revenue eventually. So thanks, Geetu and Hari, for your thoughts and value your time. And Sanjay and Sanjeev, thanks for having us here. And we believe and trust that we could add some value to you in terms of inside out and outside in marketing and many of the concepts that we brought in. So having said that, in concluding note, congratulations to all of you who are here, who are the award winners in various categories. I'm sure during COVID-19 to be recognized for something that we've been doing, CMO job is like a teacher or a homemaker who's a thankless, basically it's a thankless job. So Sanjay and Sanjeev, thanks for putting this awards together to recognize the best of the brains in the country. Thank you. Have a great day and a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks a lot.